today's lecture will be discussing about the anatomy of the coronary arteries as well as function of the coronary arteries. Coronary arteries. Coronary arteries are arteries which supply the blood to the heart muscle. Heart, like all other tissues of the body, needs oxygenated blood, and deoxygenated or depleted oxygenated blood must be carried away. So coronary arteries, as I mentioned, arteries which supply the blood to the heart muscle. This coronary artery wraps around the outer surface of the body, and finally it is divided into small branches. How coronary anatomies. Coronary arteries are arteries which supply the blood to the heart muscle. Heart muscle, like all other tissues of the body, need for oxygen, and deoxygenated blood should be carried away. Classification of the coronary arteries. Classification of coronary arteries. Arteries are divided into two main parts: left main coronary arteries and right main coronary arteries. Left main coronary arteries divided into anterior descending artery, the second marginal artery, and circumflex, and finally it is divided into small branches which is also called diagonals. Function of the left coronary arteries. What is the function of left coronary arteries?
To carry the blood left ventricle.
Left coronary arteries supply the blood to the left atrium and left ventricle. Left coronary artery supply the blood to the left atrium and ventricle. Right coronary artery.
Right atrium and right.
Right coronary artery supply the blood to the right atrium, right ventricle, as well as SA node and AV node. Yes. This was about the classification. The left main coronary artery divided into three main branches. Number one, anterior descending artery. And anterior descending artery just supply blood to the anterior part of the heart muscle. After the anterior, they have mentioned about the obtuse arteries. And the third one is circumflex arteries. Circumflex arteries, as the name suggests, encircle around the heart muscle and provide oxygen for the posterior part of the heart. This was anterior part of the heart. Another classification, how many left bundle branch block is divided into three branches. Number one, left anterior descending, left circumflex, obtuse, and diagonals. These are the coronary arteries. Classification. Right coronary arteries. Right coronary arteries are divided into two parts. One is right coronary artery, another is posterior descending of arteries and marginals. Classification of these arteries is very important because when we want to correlate ECG change to coronary artery anatomical change, we should know about this category of the coronary arteries. Why are the coronary arteries are very important? Why? Because these coronary arteries supply the blood to the heart muscle. That is why it's very important. When these arteries are damaged or they develop some disorder, what will happen to the heart? Heart attack and possibility of sudden death. That is why the coronary arteries are very important. What was the function of coronary artery? Oxygenated blood. Oxygenated blood. They supply oxygenated blood to the heart. Another. Again, coronary arteries are divided into main part. Number one, left anterior descending on left coronary artery. The second, right coronary artery. Left coronary artery divided into three branches. Number one, left marginal artery, left circumflex, anterior descending artery, finally diagonals. This was the classification of the left main coronary artery. Right coronary artery are divided into two parts. One, posterior, marginal. That the septum is supplied by which arteries? Right branches of the arteries was marginal artery, posterior descending artery, and an anterior descending artery supply the septum of the heart. This was a very short lecture, that is why I discuss about that, because sometimes we correlate ECG change to the anatomical obstruction of the coronary arteries. For example, obstruction of right coronary artery, which type of ECG change produce? Obstruction of right coronary inferior wall, lead 2, 3, AVF. Lead 2, 3, 3 and AVF. Obstruction of the right coronary artery produces in which obstruction of right coronary artery produce ECG change in lead 2, 3, AVF. In short, we want here to discuss about the inferior wall MI. And when the anterior descending artery is obstructed, which lead develop? Anterior. V1, V2, V3, and V4. Another one is remain. Lateral. Obstruction of the which circumflex. Circumflex. This V1, AVL, and V5 and V6. This was correlation of the ECG change and cardiac coronary artery obstruction. Now, obstruction of coronary artery produces lead 2, 3 AVF, ST segment elevation, lateral wall MIs produce lead 1 AVL and V5 in V6, and circumflexes produce V1, circumflexes produce lead 1 AVL and V5 and V6, and anterior V1, V2, V3, V4. This was about the obstruction of coronary arteries and correlation with ECG change. Another? Just AVR. Just AVR. Now, after that, I want to discuss about the escape rhythm here. That is why I want to repeat again the electrical system of the heart. As I mentioned before, the heart is divided into two parts. One is electrical system, or electrical network, or wiring diagram, and another mechanical part. Mechanical part include of atriums, both atrium and both ventricle, which controlled by the electrical system. So electrical system is started from SA node. SA node is a node which is located in the upper border of the right atrium. Without of any external and internal stimulation, they produce a firing frequency of 75 beats per minute. This is why this pacemaker, this is so-called primary pacemaker, your dominant pacemaker. Now SA node is connected to the AV node through intra-arterial pathway or through intranodal pathway. The intra-arterial pathway, this is superior, this is inferior, and this is medial. And SA node connected to the left atrium by Bachmann's pathway. As we discussed this matter already, the electrical activity of the right atrium and left atrium produce both of them produce P wave synchronization. Now this electrical impulse, when this electrical impulse from SA node spread through the both atria, produces atrial contraction. And after the depolarization of this atrium, the electrical impulse where should go? AV node. Yes. What was the specialty of the SA node? It was automaticity. What was the specialty of the AV node? Slow contraction. For 0.1 second, this blood is stopped. The contraction, abnormal contraction is established. The AV node should be postponed electrical impulse. Then this electrical impulse directly does not come from atrium to the ventricle. They must cross AV node. This delay is a physiological delay. During this period, both atria contract and they enter their blood into the right and left atrium. After the AV node, there is phase bundle. This his bundle further divided first into two fascicles, into right bundle branch and left bundle branch. Left bundle branch is divided into anterior fascicle, posterior fascicle, and Purkinje cell. And right bundle branch just classified into Purkinje fibers. Purkinje, what is the specialty of the Purkinje fibers? Yeah, they rapidly and fastly conduct the electrical impulse to the cardiomyocytes, or they terminate to cardiomyocytes. This Purkinje cell is also mentioned from small cell, which is connected to the each other. We have discussed about synchronization. Synchronization. Now, what is the escape rhythm? What is the escape rhythm?
The escape rhythm are those rhythms which is beginning from other part of the heart without
on condition that if the SA node is damaged, or if the SA node is infarcted, or when the SA node doesn't work properly, what will happen to the heart? Yeah. If SA node is damaged or if SA node doesn't work, what will happen to the heart? If this condition is prolonged, the function of the SA node, and they do not resume their function, the patient may develop asystole and death. For this reason, when the SA node is failed to work, there are another focus which is present in the different part of heart. They are electrically activated. After the SA node, which rhythm is activated? AV nodal. AV nodal rhythm. Escape rhythm. Escape rhythm. If the AV node doesn't work, what will happen to the heart?
Bundle of his blood.
If the AV node doesn't work, there are other focus which is located in the ventricle. It is activated. This focus is called ventricular escape rhythm. Escape rhythm. How should differentiate normal sinus rhythm from AV nodal escape rhythm and from ventricular escape rhythm? The key point for the AV nodal rhythm is a note like this. This is the escape rhythm. We think this 72 beats per minute and P is present. In the AV node, in the AV node, what is the natural activity of the AV node? The firing frequency of the AV node?
45.
Yes, 46. Yes, this is 46. On the average, from 40 to say on the average 43 beats per minute. One thing that you should distinguish is sinus tachycardia from AV nodal rhythm is a heart rate. The heart rate in the SA node is 75 beats per minute. And the AV node is 43. And the clinical key point of P is not present and QR is complex. Like this. This is the escape rhythm. This rate is 43. P is not present. QRS interval is narrow compared to the ventricular escape rhythm. How should I define ventricular escape rhythm? If the AV node doesn't work or infarcted, this electrical impulse does not originate from AV node. The third part, which is electrically activated, is ventricle. Ventricular escape rhythm. The firing rate of the ventricular escape rhythm. Firing, from 50 to 40. 50 to 40. On the average, 33. How should distinguish this AV nodal rhythm with ventricular escape rhythm? Still P is not present. Yes, still P is not present. And this rate is ventricular escape rhythm. The QRS complex is white and P is absent, and escape rhythm rate with a firing frequency of the 33 beats per minute. This was about the escape rhythm. Now, you should tell me, Qais, about the escape rhythm. Why?
When the SA node is not working, they are allowed to stop. In this situation, either foci must be activated for the working of the heart, otherwise asystole will occur.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So when other foci are activating, it is different that it is activating in arterial or ventricle. Our Meroka could stop the first foci which is activating after SA node is AV node. The firing frequency of AV node is 46, but the average is 43.
Yeah.
So the ECG pattern of AV node activation in the electrocardiogram is absence of P wave, and otherwise QRS complex is a little bit narrow. And when we calculate the ventricular rate between two QRS complex, the rate will be approximately 43 beats per minute.
This escape rhythm could explain under the topic of the tachyarrhythmia or bradyarrhythmia. Bradyarrhythmia.
Less than 60.
Yeah. Bradyarrhythmia. Now this was about the differentiation between the escape rhythm and venodal escape rhythm and then tricular escape rhythm. Classification and the coronary arteries.
Coronary artery is classified in two categories. One is right coronary artery and another is left coronary artery. Left coronary artery is divided into two categories, in three categories. And circumflex artery, LED,
Which one?
LED, left descending artery, and
left anterior descending artery, another is obtuse, and the third one is circumflex. And right coronary arteries. When the right coronary artery is obstructed, what will happen to the heart?
Inferior one is damaged and the ECG changes present in 2-3 AVF.
Anterior descending.
And anterior descending, the ECG changes in lead 1, V1, V2, V3, V4. And in interior and lateral wall, the ECG changes in lead 1, EVL, V5, V6.
This was correlation of the ECG change, I mean ECG pattern. Another about the anatomy of the heart. Shirullah. This is anatomy of the heart.
The heart is divided into two parts.
The general heart is compromised. It is composed of electrical part and mechanical. Mechanical part is right ventricle and right atrium, and left ventricle and left atrium. And electrical part of the heart is the first one is SC node, the second is interatrial bundles, which conducts the electricity to the AV node, and after the AV node is a bundle of His. And after
continue.
Bundle of His and bundle branch and left bundle branch and right bundle branch, and the left bundle branch is divided into anterior and posterior fascicles, and the last one is Purkinje cells.
Yeah.
The teacher asked
about the coronary artery.
About the coronary arteries.
Yes, tell me
Coronary
about
arteries are
that.
those arteries that supply the hearts. Its function is to supply the heart nutrition, and also it has two parts: right coronary arteries and left coronary arteries. Right coronary arteries supplies the right ventricle and right atrium, and left coronary arteries supplies the left ventricle and left atrium. Left coronary arteries is divided into three parts.
In addition to the function of the right ventricle, which is supplied by the right coronary artery, the AV node is also supplied by right. In fact, we say the main part of the heart which is controlled the rhythm is right ventricle. Right ventricle is controlled the normal rhythm, but according to the infarction, inferior wall MI or left side MI is dangerous than the inferior wall MI. Or those people who develop bradyarrhythmia or hypodynamic state, in such a case, we'll think about the right coronary obstruction. And left anterior is represented as a hyperdynamic state. What does it mean? Hypertension. Hypertension. Another left circumflex obstruction.
Produces in V1, AVL,
V5 and V6. Lateral walls. Extensive MI.
V1, V6, and also left
side. Triple vessel disease. This was a short lecture about electrical system again. We repeated and the second we'll talk about the coronary arteries anatomy.
Blood supply of the heart.
Blood supply of the heart, or those arteries which supply the blood to the heart, or those arteries which provide oxygen and nutrition for the heart. Heart, like other tissue, need for oxygenated blood, and when they receive oxygenated blood, depleted oxygen or poorly oxygenated blood should be carried away. Then these coronary arteries wrap around the outer surface of the body. Finally, these coronary arteries are divided into very small branches which are diving into the heart muscle and provide oxygen and some nutrient for the cardiac tissues, which is a central organ. That is why coronary artery is very important for the heart. Another, yes, one thing I forgot, the escape rhythm is also called safety net of the heart. Safety net of the heart. For this rhythm, which is originated when the SCR node doesn't work and originated from AV node and ventricular rhythm. This is a safety net for heart. What does it mean, a safety net?
So you're about when the SA node is not working, asystole will occur. For prevention of asystole, AV node will escape rhythm foci in the heart must be activated for the prevention of asystole and sudden cardiac. That's why it's called safety net.
And sometimes for these AV node and ventricular escape rhythm, they call subsidiary pacemaker. Subsidiary. We are here pronounced subsidiary pacemaker. So when the SA node doesn't work, AV node is electrically activated and it works instead of AV node. The firing frequency 40 to 60, and the firing frequency of the ventricular escape rhythm, and the QRS complex is wide and P is absent. So we have escape rhythm